Well, not the conversation you'd want us to be having, Gary, but you must be proud of your team. They've won today, and also proud of them this season.
Yeah, I am. I think we're all disappointed. We definitely thought we were, Lady Luck was going to be looking down on us and we get in the playoffs. We just had a feeling we were going to get in there. All we could do today was concentrate on ourselves, win this game, and which we did. And unfortunately, the other results haven't gone for us, and we just miss out.
Yeah, I mean, how difficult was it just to concentrate on that one game today?
No, it wasn't. I think it was, for a number of reasons. I think, we've lost the last couple at home, which, probably dented our chances. But, I think it was important that we got back to winning ways. And like I said, we just wanted to focus on this game. The other game was out of our hands, and, we could just focus on ourselves. And like you said, yeah, I thought it was a good, solid performance from the lads, and just disappointed with the other result.
Yeah, pleased with the clean sheet at the end of the season at home as well, and a few more 1-0s as the season had gone on would have been really helpful here, wouldn't it? Because in the end, your ifs and buts will all look at those 9 defeats here, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is. I think every club can look back on some of the disappointing results and points they've dropped over the season. We're no different. And I think it's something which, I remember saying at the time, we weren't quite ready. I do feel like the squad has got stronger. Just the way we finished the season, we are excited about next season. I think we're going to be better prepared for it. I think it was always going to be a big ask, and it was going to be tough to completely rebuild the squad. And like I said, I'm delighted with the players we've brought in, and I think we've looked better and better, as certainly since the turn of the year. I think we've looked stronger, and we like I said, we felt we were going to get sneaking them playoffs, and we always fancied our chances when we got in them. But so we've got to deal with the disappointment of that at the moment. But like I said, I think there's a lot of pluses. And it was nice to get back to winning ways at home again. And like I said, I think we've just missed out on 2 points, was it? I think so. We dust ourselves down and we look to go again.
Some of the fans will find it hard to take, and you'll accept that, I know. But 78 point total, not too far away from a best ever season for Tranmere.
Yeah, it is. I think Tranmere's best ever total was 80 points. So, we've got 78, which I know it's a small consolation, but we're trying to look at all the positives, and we're trying to create an atmosphere where it's really positive. And I think most of the fans have been. I think most of the fans have been really supportive, and knew it was not going to be easy. We had no divine right to go straight back up this season. So, it was a building process, and we want to turn the club round, start to be a team that's more used to winning games than not, and challenging, and hopefully get stronger and stronger each year as it passes, and hopefully bring back the glory days to this club.
40 points on your travels. If you'd managed to match it here at Prenton Park, Gary, this would be a totally different conversation, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it was, and we looked at it's something that we've looked at as well. We analyse ourselves over it, and I think it's more. We've spoken to the players, just probably losing our shape a little bit with desperation to try and get that winning goal at times, and we've been caught on the counter attack, and I think it's a lot of them defeats should have been draws, and I think if you've only got 3 of them games, and we'd have been in the playoffs now. So I think in terms of where we've probably been a little bit gung-ho is not keeping our discipline when we have had a draw, or when we have been at a bit of a stalemate, trying to chase that win, and we've been caught on the counter attack, and I think that's probably been the most evident thing we take from certainly points we've dropped at home. Like I said, and I think we've won 12 games at home this season, which I think that's the best we've had for the last 6 years. So we are winning games, but we do want to make it a fortress, and it's something that we are analysing, and we need to improve if we're going to have a better go with it next year.
I know you must have been thinking about plans for next season, different scenarios in terms of that. How far ahead are you with those plans at the moment? I mean, now things have dropped into place. Do you feel you're in a really strong position now to prepare for next season?
I think I'm in a lot stronger position than what I was last season. I think, it was possibly a daunting task when you walk into a club, like you said, when it's had the disappointment of the last few years, and you've got a handful of players at best, and it was a rebuild job, and it's not always easy recruiting players and getting the right type of players, but I'm delighted that that the fans have took a bit of a shine to 1 or 2 of the players, and I think that's important as well, that the fans have the favourites, and that's nice, and I think that's part of enjoying football. And like I said, we need to be stronger, and I think we are stronger, certainly for this season. You know, and I think the recruitment process will not be as hard, as tough as it was last year, and you know, we can learn from where we felt that we did fall a little bit short this season, and put that right next season.
The other side, of course, of that is you finish sixth, and there might be a few other clubs looking at some of your players and saying, well, you know, perhaps we might want them next season as well. I mean, how strong a position do you think you are to keep those players that you definitely want to keep here next season?
Well, I want people to play for this club because they enjoy day to day. You know, they're enjoying the football, and you know, it's not going to be a case of, I think I've said since I come here, it's not going to be one of them. We're not going to throw money at them to entice them to come here. If they're going to come here, it's going to be because they want to play football. And you know, and I think in the whole, you know, the lads disappointed that they haven't quite achieved the goal of getting promotion the first time of asking, but you know, I think they'll have enjoyed this season, certainly learned. I think as a group together we've certainly got to working with each other every day. You know, we've been through a lot of ups and downs, and I certainly think that makes you stronger for it.
And make you stronger as well. I mean, there will be some fans, of course, who will say, well, you know, Gary Brabin hasn't got us up this season, is he the right man for next season? What do you say to them?
No, I think that's football now. You look at football, and you know, if you're not promoted in one season, people want to change. You know, I think that's this day and age. But I think, like I said, I think most of the support of that's been very, very positive, and you know, I think everyone's entitled to. There's a lot of frustration which we understand, and you know, we do we are mindful of that, and you know, we just want to create a good positive atmosphere. Like I said, I think it's important that fans get attached to players, and you know, and I think it's better that players stay here for 2 or 3, 4, 5 seasons as opposed to just, you know, every year changing players and changing management. You know, I think the club does need a bit of stability. I think there's a lot of positives to take from this season. You know, and it's something that I think we'll be stronger for next season.
And over 6,500 here for the final game of the season. I mean, a huge fan base here. You know how big this club could be if you can get it right next season. Yeah,
I do. You know, I think, you know, one thing you can't call it, the lads, the fans have been in the numbers, and that's fantastic. And not just at home, you know, away. You know, they've travelled all over the country, and you know, and like I said, I think I'd like the fans to take the positives as well, and collectively as a club, you know, we're stronger for it. You know, the experience of being in this league, we know it's not easy. It's roll your sleeves up job at times, and it's not pretty at times. But you know, I think I think the players are certainly better for it, and you know, hopefully the whole club's better for it. And like I said, you know, hopefully we all look forward to the challenge next season.
And finally, for me, I mean, you look harsh at yourself. I know you look at every decision you've made throughout the season. You know, could have done this differently, could have done that better. You look at that and you learn yourself as well, presumably.
Yeah, I think anyone who says they don't learn, and that's at the very highest level. You know, I remember Alex Ferguson saying it once in his latter years at Manchester United. You're always learning, and I think, you know, that never stops. You know, I think you're always looking to improve. You know, I think it's important that you analyse yourself, and like I said, you know, I think there's a lot of positives. We're not just hiding behind the positives. We like I said, we want the club to be stronger. You know, we want to go to clubs and use our strength in numbers. You know, and the players that they've had, you know, a season together. You know, and we use that positivity next season. But you know, I think it's important that we do get stronger. That we also pick a bit out of our not so, you know, our weaknesses, if you like, and look to put them right, and that's certainly the case, you know, behind the scenes at the club.
Thank you, Gary.
Cheers, thank you.
Gary, it's never easy when it's in your hands, is it?
No, I think, you know, you look at it, and I knew there'd be a lot of twists and turns, like I suggested, and at one stage we thought we got our noses in front, it was in our hands, and you know, like I said, it's easy to be critical, but you know, it's that's the football, and you know, you look at the running, certainly the last 4 games, and fair play to Braintree. I think they've won the last 4 games, and that was a tough running, so full credit to them. But you know, we're certainly stronger. I think, you know, learning from this season, and we need to bounce back stronger.
Were you aware of the Braintree score at the game?
No, I wasn't. So, you know, I think it was just important that we got this win today, and I was solely focused on that. And you know, I think you can sort of sense with the atmosphere that things weren't going right for us elsewhere, but like I said, we could only focus on ourselves, and it was nice to get another win. It was nice to get a win at home in front of our fans, and unfortunately we couldn't pip into the playoffs.
No, I was going to say credit where it's due. The players did battle to the end, and I say great performance, especially against the team who were in the playoffs as well for a 1-0 win.
Yeah, no, I think Grimsby are a real good side, strong side. Got a lot of experience of the situation, and I think they'll be the team to beat in the playoffs. And but I thought it was a good performance from the lads. It was never going to be an easy game, and I thought the lads rolled their sleeves up, played some good football at times. We've had good opportunities and another clean sheet, and like I said, another win at home.
And so you mentioned that you weren't aware of the results elsewhere, but the obviously messages from the fans to the pitch and the atmosphere. Obviously the players knew that there was something going on elsewhere. Was it a bit difficult at half time? But the players know at half time in themselves that it was a bit of a battle that they probably can't win.
No, because like I said, I think leading up to this, it was just we wanted to focus on ourselves. We didn't want to get distracted, which was out of our hands. We just needed to put on a performance and get a result at home in front of our own supporters, and let the rest take care of itself. And like I said, I think we done that. Good clean sheet, good solid performance from the lads, and a good 3 points. But we were disappointed obviously with the outcome, but we're going to take a lot of positives from this season and look to build on that and hopefully come back stronger next season.
Looking back at the season, Gary, home defeat, Welling, Boreham Wood, Braintree, Barrow. It's going to be a case of what if, isn't it, looking back?
Yeah, it is, and I think that's things that you can drive yourself around the bend when you look at some of the points you've dropped. We're no different from any other club in any other league. And I think that's always the case when you're dropping points. I was watching Arsene Wenger today saying exactly the same. They dropped a lot of points at home against some of the bottom sides, and I think that's right the way through the leagues. So I think we do look at it as a whole. We look where we can improve on things, and it's something that we are aware of, and like I said, we're confident that we'll come back stronger.
So what's next for Gary Brabin? Is it just a case of sitting down, strengthening, and go again next year? Yeah,
definitely. I think there's a lot of work to be done. Players out of contract, trying to entice them to stay with us again for another year and or two, and also looking to strengthen. Where we were a little bit short this season. And I think it's better that when I first come in, it was a complete rebuild job. And I think it won't be as much in terms of bringing bodies in, but we're certainly looking for a little bit more quality to add to the squad as opposed to numbers.
Have there been conversations yet with players who currently at the club about staying on for next year?
Yeah, definitely, and we were pleased to announce Jay Harris had signed a couple of weeks ago, so hopefully we're close to one or two others, but there's got to be a lot of work getting done on that situation.
Do you feel the players who are now after the season, they finish in sixth, disappointing in that sense, but they've now got the know-how and you know what to expect going to places like Boreham Wood away next season and Barrow? They know that it's got the tough away games coming, and that's going to put them in good stead for next season. Yeah,
definitely. I think that was definitely the case. I think it was certainly a culture shock for a few of the players. The combination of even the ones who played in this league, I think it was the combination of playing for a big club with a big expectation and playing against teams who are going to come here and make it hard for them, and you got some people who've never experienced the league before. So I think that there has been a big learning curve, and I think that was evident at times, certainly before Christmas. But like I said, I think we certainly got stronger. I think we're not far off a really strong group of players there that can challenge and hopefully improve on this season. And final message to the fans, Gary. Disappointing end to the season, but the support all season through thick and thin has been absolutely tremendous. Yeah, it has. I think in terms of numbers, it's been fantastic, and like I said, the support, as home and away, has been great, and we want to try and make the whole club positive. We don't want to start going on too much about what's behind us. We need to look forward and hopefully take this club back where it belongs. Cheers, Gary.
You'll be setting a time to say which players will be offered new terms for next season?
Yeah, like I said, I've started the process already with one or two. I think certainly with a couple, I think a lot depended on where we were going to be, whether it was going to be in the league, this league, and and I think there's one or two other things which we need to speak to, and So it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be a quick fix, but I think the process has started. We have started speaking to one or two people, and we will try and get to the rest of them. We'll certainly speak to them as a group in the next couple of days, and then, you know, it's speaking to them all individually over the next week or two.